But thank you to everybody who's joined our call. It really is such an encouragement to see all of your beautiful faces, and I can't wait to hug those faces in real life, hopefully one day in 2020. I'm sure you all just saw that the governor just announced that schools are going to stay closed for the rest of the school year. So it's good that we have that knowledge as we have this conversation. And you know, shifting is the favorite word for everyone these days. And like I shared in the email, one of our favorite phrases at SAM is shift happens. And we're learning how to manage that and try to not lose our minds during the process. This convening today was supposed to be about implicit bias. We were going to talk about that, as that was one of the things that came out in a listening session from our youth, and we wanted to talk about that kind of difficult and really important topic. However, we are shifting today, one, because I don't know about y'all, but that's a conversation that requires a lot of emotional capacity that many of us, I don't think, have right now. But we are going to have that conversation, most definitely. But today we're more talking, it's going to be a discussion. We're going to break up into smaller groups here to kind of hear what you guys are thinking, what your programming is looking like, how you're having to make those shifts, what kind of things do you need from the collaborative, how can we better support you, you all. But we have two wonderful people that we all know and love, Kara and Antoine, who are going to start us off. Kara is going to lead us in a kind of check-in, self-care. She's got an amazing photograph. I hope you have that photograph that she's going to share with us. And then Antoine, after Kara talks to us, Antoine's going to share how My Brother's Keeper has been intentionally engaging youth in this new digital world that we live in. Because their needs have not gone away, and now more than ever, they need to be listened to and engaged with, and MBK has been a great example. So Antoine's going to share what they're doing and what he's hearing from his youth. Then going to kick it over to Savannah. She's going to talk about what we're going to be doing in our small groups. So Kara, take it away, my friend.
All right. So right before I got on this call, Governor McMaster had made the announcement regarding the schools closing. And many of you guys have worked with me and met me through the Child Protection Training Center, but I was an early childhood teacher for 11 years. And even though that, you know, health-wise, that was my hope that schools would stay closed, I found myself I just started crying. I just started to weep. And I think when, you know, they asked me to come in and talk about self-care, and I think one of the really important parts of self-care is that when you have those responses that you don't necessarily always want to feel, you need to honor them, right? And we also know during this whole pandemic, I think what we've learned is we can feel a lot of feelings at the same time. It's incredible feelings we can feel. So you can have this sense of relief, right? But then also this sense of really intense sadness and grief on behalf of the kids, and knowing that school is their safe place. So I want you guys to feel like you can honor all of those feelings. And I'm also just going to the conversation a little bit. So one of the things that I've been doing for self-care is sending these daily check-ins to some teachers that I'm on groups with. And we've had a lot of great responses to them, because it's a really wonderful way to sort of make connection with where you are. And also the visuals are usually really helpful. So I'm about to share my screen, and I'm going to show you guys a picture that I think is really useful. And if you would, did it go on? Megan, give me a thumbs up. Is it there?
did for a minute, and then the slideshow ended, so you may have to go back to the.
Go back. Okay. So first off, no disrespect. I love Miss Brittany. Second, this stage of quarantine is basically for me called Monday. Okay. But what I want to know is, where are you guys right now? So in the chat box, find your stage and type your number.
Lots of sevens.
Good, because my chat isn't coming up, so I can't see where y'all are. That's very annoying. What are we seeing, Miss Megan? Tell me about it.
We got lots of sevens.
Okay.
We have some fives, which feels kind of just defiant attitude. Ron says he's almost to an 8 and that he needs a haircut. We got some sixes as well. I haven't seen anyone say 1, 2, or 3.
Right? Nobody. What about a 9? Anybody on a 9?
I have not seen a 9 yet. Oh,
Okay.
Brandon's at a 2. Okay, Brandon, you're putting us all to shame with your workout. Brandon's a 2. Yep.
All right. So let me ask you a question. If you think about the past 4 weeks, 5 weeks that we've been in this quarantine, what number would represent where you've been, like, collectively? Right? So think about the past 5 weeks. Like, what's your number collectively? Where would you be?
Got some 4s coming up, some 6s.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy's a 3. Several more 4s. Some more 6 and 7s. A 5 from Brandon. Okay. More 4s. Yep. Again, so no 1s or 2s on that one.
I was gonna say, so this is
Jennifer's a 2. Jennifer Parker's a 2. Okay.
Jennifer is a 2 because she has been working out every day. Like, we have this conversation. So Dr. Parker's she's on that, man. So I'm gonna stop my share and you can go back onto your share, Megan, and we can go back into gallery view. Oh, there's my chat. It's so lovely to see. So the whole point of that is, like, yeah, nobody's a 1. Nobody's a 1 right now. Nobody's been a 1 in 4 or 5 weeks, but you might have had moments of feeling 1, right? There's probably at some point during this time, I mean, I can tell you, I went for a walk the other day and I was downwind of, like, honeysuckle and I could smell it, right? And it smelled so good. And I just stood there for a second and kind of savored it. And I was a 1. So I think what is really important when we talk about self-care, and because we know the overwhelming tendency right now is to be not a 1. When you have those moments of 1 or 2 or 3, really savor them. Really let them sink in. So I'm going to lead everybody through a really quick self-care activity. I think one of the things that we've realized is that compassion, whew, boy, you know, we're probably super tapped into our compassion right now. The amount of care that we have for others, and the activity I'm going to lead you through, I've done more times than I can count. And one of the things that's interesting is what I'm going to ask you to do is to think of someone that you love that has been going through a hard time. And what's interesting about this activity is, as many times as I've done it, you know, oftentimes people will be like, okay, I have to think about that. Nobody here has to think hard about that, do you? Right? Everybody can immediately touch base and tag somebody that they know internally that's had a hard time, right? That's been, as we like to call it, the struggle bus, right? So I want you to think about that person that you care about and that you love, that's been having a rough time. And with that pen and paper that we asked everybody to have, I want you to write down 3 things that you would share with that person. What would you tell that person that you know is going through a rough time? And I'm going to give just a few moments for you guys to do that. If you guys want to just type into the chat when you're finished, so I can just make sure that I don't go ahead without anybody. Oh, you don't actually have to type in what you said. You just have to type in that you're finished. So you don't have to share what you wrote, although it's great that you did, Colin, because that's beautiful. But no, it's all good. So you just tell me that you're finished and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, so it looks like pretty much everybody's finished. So in this exercise, it is so easy for us to tap into the compassion we feel for someone we love. And we know how we would provide them with support. Oftentimes, I think what happens is when we go through difficult experiences, we don't always extend the same compassion to ourselves. So I want you to look at those things that you wrote, and I want you to read them to yourself in your voice as how you would reassure yourself right now at this time as you're going through something difficult. What I have found with this exercise is the voice that we use with others is oftentimes not the voice that we use with ourselves. The words that we share with the people we love when they're struggling can be the same words that we tell ourselves when we are struggling. Oftentimes we hold ourselves to a different standard, right? And we feel like that self-compassion is going too easy on ourselves. But I would guess that many of us would probably not use our inner voice with our friends because we may not ever see those people again. So my recommendation for you guys after this exercise is to take that sheet of paper and to put it somewhere prominent and to look at it every day And to know that if that's the love, if that's the message you would give the people you care about, that's the message you can give yourself as well. That self-compassion is really important, especially at a time like this. And you're not being too easy on yourself when you speak to yourself with those words. So I hope that that has been beneficial and that you guys got something out of that. And Megan, I will turn it back over to you.
Love that, Kara. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to say those things to my friend too. All right, we're getting emotional here. All right, we are now going to kick it over to, well, let me say this first. Can y'all see my screen? Okay. Did you know that this week is After School Professionals Appreciation Week? So Kim, our very own Kim, put together this little graphic, and we've shared it or are going to be sharing it on social media to thank you all for the wonderful hard work that you guys do, because now all time is out of school time, and all the more reason for us to be talking together. One other quick thing, we're not going to show it right now, but we shared yesterday on our Facebook the out of school time video that was put together. If you haven't seen it yet, it's quite excellent. Many of you make cameos in it. This is a shot from it. But please check that out too. You'll be feeling a Brittany 1 when you watch that video. So, but we're gonna let Antoine take over and share some of the things that MBK's been doing and learning from their youth. So take it away, Antoine. Is he there?
Sorry. I'm here. I'm sorry.
Here you go. Got it.
All right. Good afternoon. Early afternoon, late morning to everyone. As we all know, this has been a challenging time. So we've had to adapt and modify, our offerings and things that we're delivering to the young people that we serve in the space that we are provided. So what that has allowed us to do was we created our MBK Talk, our MBK Youth Talk series, in which what that consists of is it started out with an opportunity for young people to express themselves, how they are responding to the crisis of COVID-19 and also the other dynamics that come along with that. Just from speaking with our leadership team, our youth advisory team, they gave some great feedback regarding how they were feeling. But I have to start that the conversation organically started when I started seeing some things. I was seeing some posts, and I was noticing that a lot of young people wasn't necessarily practicing the proper social distancing techniques, and they were just going about life as normal. So if anybody knows me, I had to reach out and make some phone calls and shoot a few text messages and things of that nature. And I began to share with the young people how important that was. And I sent them information, I sent them literature and other things regarding the importance of social distancing. And I had them do some research on discovering and educating themselves on what the virus was, what the pandemic was about. So after doing that, I ended up sharing a call and a meeting with about 10 young people, and we just kind of talked about it. I showed them a very basic but illustrated animated video that really talked about the origins of it and how it comes about. So the conversation kind of grew into something else, and it spawned into a conversation of just awareness, and it immediately switched to anxiety and concern as they began to be concerned about parents, grandparents, guardians, or older relatives that are in their family. They started thinking about younger relatives in their families, but it created an opportunity that there was a conversation going around with everyone, with adults, with professionals, but there was no conversations necessarily taking place with the young people. So what we got out of that was an opportunity, a platform for them to, one, educate themselves, and two, to be empowered to take charge and have some control. So we began our first MBK Youth Talk with a conversation just on COVID and the impact. And what kind of came from that conversation was just listening to young people just vent their frustrations, vent their pain. I mean, there was a young man who is a high school senior at Dorman High School, one of my leaders. And, his words I will quote is, I feel like I've achieved something. I went to school for 12 years and I feel like it's all for nothing, because my sole goal was to walk across the stage and give my mom my diploma once I finish. And I'm not going to have that opportunity now. And that really hit home with me, just realizing that there's an emotional, mental toll that's taking place on young people, especially the seniors, that they're going to be losing out on that. They're missing out on their senior proms. They're missing out on, those senior moments that, that you look forward to. We also had a college student on the call that was a senior as well, and, shared their frustrations. And I've heard this, over and over again with students abroad, just they're frustrated that, they're not going to be able to have that same opportunity, to share with family and friends and loved ones, as well as, the opportunities as far as the economic impact with certain parents, that pay for college, pay for their kid to attend colleges. And, colleges at this point in time are not necessarily, whether they're private or public or what have you, for the most part, are not creating plans where they're looking to reimburse or refund or what have you. So students are dealing with a lot of things there and told as far as graduation. And some of what kind of came about was the idea that colleges would allow students to come back for December commitments or what have you. Students that are abroad or students that are, going to colleges that are states away, that may not be an option. So the conversation kind of grew into just being a place of a refuge and a safe place for young people to talk and share their conversation. So that was a powerful conversation that we had, which was our first initial MBK talk. Megan, I don't know if you could switch to another slide. Another talk that we had in Future was we pulled young people from all around our state and youth serving organization. Was great to have Andrea and some of her young people from Bloom Upstate participate on that call as well. But we were able to have a conversation on girl empowerment and what that means, and the youth voice and the girl voice. And it was a powerful conversation that happened and took place as we continue on the work as far as ensuring that our young people have a platform and a place of refuge, a place of safety, what have you. And that was a great conversation that came from that. Recently, this past week, we released our next installment, which was a conversation on food and healthy eating and the impact of it. And it was entitled "Getting Back to Your Roots," and where it was by far one of our most powerful conversation, that when we talk about a focus on health disparities and access to food and education and what food does to the body and various different things of that nature. It was a great conversation we were able to have with an awesome panel to discuss matters regarding healthy eating and all. So the MBK Youth Talk came about was taking a different approach, a new approach regarding how to impact young people in a way due to the epidemic of COVID-19. We have some upcoming talks that's going to be taking place that I'm very excited about, that we're going to be bringing in some national partners and partners from other states as we talk about getting into areas for masculinity, manhood, mentorship. What is a mentor? We'd love for, as other organizations want to be a part of that, you're more than welcome to. We're also going to be doing a segment on trauma-informed care, as well as the mental health space and mental health aspect of it, the impact that it's having, as well as with our national partners, My Brother's Keeper Alliance or what have you. We have some conversations on that, as well as male achievement, education, and just the impact of sports communities. There's so many conversations and things that young people are bringing to the table that means a lot to them, that we're going to be having, broader conversations on. Another thing that we are doing as well virtually We are creating call support lines for young people to call into, to tap into, that will address and focus on. I'm sorry, I'm outside, so I have someone that's decided to, I guess, doing some yard work, so I'm going to change my location. But also, we're going to be doing some virtual things regarding conference calls for young people to call in, call support lines that they'll be calling into, just as, taking mentoring virtually and taking it to a virtual platform to support young people, in which we're going to be doing that through a varied ways. One is such as book clubs. Young people wanted some culturally relevant book clubs, conversations, as far as to keep things as normal, a sense of normalcy as much as possible for our young people. So there's going to be opportunities they can call in. We're going to have a book club, a virtual book club, where they can follow and have, weekly updates and conversations and Q&A and chats and things of that nature. Hotlines that a mentor line that we're going to have lines where every day, a young person can call in, and there'll be mentors and, various different folks that are doing the line, just giving words of encouragement and just there to kind of keep them uplifted during this time. Because as we know, as school is out, and with the news that we received today, for some young people, we know that this is a very traumatic time, because some of our young people are possibly in homes that may not be, or in situations that may not be the most healthy situations or the most ideal situations. So the biggest thing that I'm hearing from young people is presence, just consistency and presence, of just, parents and young people are going at it. A lot of young people just saying, I want to leave, I want to move out, I want to get out of here. My parents are getting on my nerves, et cetera, et cetera. Then we have a conversation with parents, and it's just like, hey, you can't come and get them, but I need you to come and get these kids, do something with these kids, because, it's something. So there's pressure all around in the family as we all adjust and adapt. And we're just trying to stand in the gap and kind of be that mediator, in a sense, where we support families and parents, but most importantly, we're supporting and being there for the young people, but, being there intentionally in a way with our young people that is uplifting and impactful for them, but also giving them a voice to be able to voice, how they feel and what they have going on. If I could say anything to you all, I would say the thing that I hear continuously over and over in most of our talks with future young people from all over the state. So regardless of where they are geographically, the message is the same. Don't forget about us. Like, we are here. Don't forget about us. And, when they look at news, when they see so many things that's taking place going on, so much misinformation or redirection of information or what have you, there's a lot of conversations that's going about, but there's no one talking directly to them, which is the reason why we decided to change up our efforts and, create conversations and create content and create platforms where we bring professionals, adults, and allies and organizations that support young people or what have you to young people. Also, you all are the first to hear this. Been talking with FEMA and emergency management and things of that nature. So we have one of our adult advisors actually works with Department of Homeland Security. He also works with FEMA and a few other organizations. So there's a push as we advocated for young people regarding what are some things we can do for preparedness, emergency management, or what have you for young people. So we are going to be soon providing emergency readiness, preparedness, as well as first aid certifications that we're going to be able to provide virtually for young people through some of our services, through some connections we're making. We're working out the logistics of how to make that happen. So pretty soon we'll be making some announcements and being able to get young people certified in first aid, CPR, and other things, and we can start that process virtually. And then once we're able to be in person, we can do the latter stages of that. But just finding a way just to stay ahead of the curve and serve our young people, just try to keep things just in a place of normalcy as much as possible, because it's so needed, because they are scared, they are nervous, they don't know. And I'll say this, my daughter, who's 5, her birthday is in August, and I had a woosah moment where it stopped me in my steps, where she said, "Daddy, on my birthday, could we go back to the circus and I play with my friends again? My friends come to the circus with me on my birthday if the virus is over." and her birthday is in August. And it hit me that, wow, like in my time, in my day, I don't recall a situation, a time of such. But for our young people, it's almost like the baby boomer generation, things that they experienced when we were, you know, at odds, at war, the Cold War, and things of that nature. I don't recall a time where we didn't know our fate to one day from the next, you know, where we lived in fear. And the fact of hearing her say, as we educate her, say, you know, will I be able to be with my friends on my birthday for the virus? It let me know, like, Antoine, we have to really make sure that we're in tune and not, you know, think that because they're young, they don't understand, or because they're young, it's not impacting them, because it's having a significant impact. Because we have to remember this younger generation, the Gen Z generation, you know, they have never lived life without technology. And without, you know, when we talk about social distancing, although they don't necessarily communicate verbally a lot, they will stand beside each other in person and still communicate using the technology. But for many, there's no interaction with their peers. So just finding a way to use this virtual technology and our voices and, you know, what we're doing here to connect with our young people, I think is so critical. And if we can be of any support to anyone, just let us know. And if there's any content, conversations, or anything that for anyone on this call that you have, please reach out to me. And we'd love to have a talk and include you in on it, because there's no topic that we won't touch on, that we won't reach or touch. So that's all that I have. Feel free to like us, follow us, and see some of the things that we're doing. And if there's anything we can do on behalf of My Brother's Keeper to support any of your efforts, let us know, because we are all in this together.
Thank you so much, Antoine. That's encouraging to hear. I loved what you said about consistency and presence. And, you know, everyone on this call has youth in their lives, even if it's just a handful, and that's a wonderful reminder. So thank you for sharing all of that. And like he said, you can see those videos on their Facebook page, and they're on YouTube. So really encourage y'all to take a look at them. They're really inspiring, and it's a great way to be reminded of who we're serving and who this is all about. But Ron, you wanted to say something too.
Yeah, just really quickly, this sentence at the very end of your introductory paragraph on the talk series, where you say their voices matter, I think is just so profound and so inspiring, because I think what so many people are feeling right now is a sense of helplessness. And the more we can reinforce with young people and with all of us and with each other that they matter, we matter, that you matter, that I think that central message helps us get out of this feeling like, you know, we're helpless in this, or that somehow physical distancing is equated with social distancing, which it's not. And so that sense of purpose and that sense that we all matter in this is just, it's just so critical. So thank you for all the great work that you're doing and that others are doing with you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ron.
All right, Savannah, you want to lead us in our next part here?
Will you shift on over?
Yep.
Thank you. And thank you, Antoine. I think I shared this with you, but I was able to watch both the first two of those talks and was totally engulfed in what the youth had to say. So thank you for the experience that you provided for them that would be necessary conversations now, but at any time. So thank you so much for facilitating that. So as Antoine said, you know, reach out if you have questions or you want support, but today is really helping us so that we know what other people are doing so that we can reach out. How can we collaborate, and what other support do you need from the collaborative? What knowledge do you need? Do you need training on certain virtual tools? What else can we be providing at this time? And so as a team at the Spartanburg Academic Movement, we internally use a triage tool that you should see up on your screen right now to really prioritize what's going on in our realm right now. Is from the Center of Community Investment, and we will be using this tool today when we break out into groups to learn more about what your organization is providing, how you have reimagined your programming, what would you like to be doing, and what's been paused at this point. I know we've been getting questions about what's going on in the OST world. Was just in a superintendent's meeting last week, and they were very intrigued and wanted to know what's happening in out of school time, because as Megan said earlier, out of school time is all the time right now. So this is such an important time for us to step up and step into youth even more. And I know that you have already done that, but just to go over the boxes that we'll be talking about in our breakout groups. You have it in front of you, but for those of you who are on the phone, we won't bog too much down into the guiding question. We understand that there are different organizations and that you have different missions, but for the collaborative, we understand that our focus is how we can increase access to quality programs to our youth 6th through 12th grade. So we'll be using that as a guide. But looking first, what is our current priorities? What's relevant? What are we continuing to do right now? What are you doing right now? Even if, yes, we will email the strategy tool. What are you doing right now? Even if it means that it's virtual. What is being paused right now and will resume when this crisis is over? And I say over because what does that mean? But what are we pausing right now with the expectation that it will resume? What's an emerging priority? So what has come up in response to the current circumstances? And then what do you not know at this point? There's just not enough information. Maybe you need more information about, I don't know. There's just not enough information to share at this point. So if you're not sure what box something goes into, we'll put it in the unknown at this point. And then there's the honor and let go. So conditions right now make these items impossible. So we'll break up for about 25 minutes and Megan's going to start breaking us up into groups. And again, this is just an informal discussion for us to talk about what are you doing, what's emerging, what do you think's going to emerge, what do you not know about, and what are we saying like this is just something that we can't do right now. And then we'll end, if you don't get to that in the discussion, with how can the collaborative continue to support you. So with that, I think we'll have a quick minute and you'll be in one of 3 groups, one with Ron, one with myself, and then one with Megan.
Yep, and we'll say we'll come back at 12:35.
That sounds good.
All right, here we go. Let's hope
Hey,
this works.
hey, Megan.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Siege. Hey, I just wanted to say I appreciate. I'm out delivering, making routes, delivering food and everything to these students. So I'll have to jump off, but I just wanted to jump on for a second, and say just how much I appreciate everyone and you know what everyone's doing, and I pray you guys are you know, really making some headway, which I know we are. So I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry I had to.
No, thanks so much, Siege. It's great to hear your voice.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you again.
All right, bye. All right,
Bye-bye.
everybody, here we go. Are y'all there? Can you hear me?
Hey, Megan.
Hey, I lost
Hello.
I lost my video of all of y'all.
Hello.
I'm here.
All right, very good. We might have a few more coming in here. There should be a few more, but we'll see. All right, good to have everybody. Everybody knows everybody on this call. Yes, we got Terrence from Bars, Nancy from Halter, Colin from District 7, Antoine from My Brother's Keeper, and Kim from SAM. So, can y'all still see my screen?
No.
Just your face.
Okay, let me see if I can do this again, so we can get those questions kind of up. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we started using this kind of tool as a way to just kind of frame our strategy and help us kind of think through what we were needing to do at SAM. And we, thought it would be a helpful thing to share with you all. And Antoine, thankfully, has shared with us a little bit about kind of some emerging priorities and ways that they've engaged youth in this new sort of way. But we'd like to really just have a discussion right now. Terrence, if you're able to unmute yourself, would love to, there you are. Would love to hear from you guys. And I'm gonna kind of take some notes, and then Savannah, Ron, and I later next week are gonna get together and kind of accumulate everything. But with especially now knowing that schools are gonna be out, I realize there might be new emerging priorities as we now know that we're in this, through the end of May. And, hopefully by August, everything will be good to come back. But we'd love to just kind of open it up with just a discussion of what you guys are doing in your own programs. So Terrence or Nancy, if one of you want to share first, that would be great. Or Colin.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I got my kids may get loud at some points, but I'm gonna just talk. And so COVID-19 has really had a great impact on our organization with re-strategizing and coming up with a plan to move forward. So one of the things that we've been working on that is still relevant is a kidpreneur market. And so we've been planning a marketplace for youth, junior bosses to be able to showcase the products and showcase the businesses in the community or to receive some revenue coming in from the business idea. And so we still in the planning process of that. We have two plans, a smaller scale and a bigger scale. So depending on the COVID situation in the fall of this year, it's going to determine which route we go pertaining to social distancing and the amount of people that can be grouped in one place at a time. So that's one priority that is still big on our list. One thing that we had that was emerging was to create virtual programming, since our physical in-person programming had to be put at a halt. So the good news is, beginning in the month of May, we will have our own virtual school program in which students can join. I mean, every youth can join, and they can take songwriting classes, they can take music production classes, entrepreneurship classes, and even how to build your own video game classes that they can take. Things to keep them engaged. We had a conversation with a good bit of youth, and one of the things they mentioned is they are really bored in this time. They're looking and searching for things to do. And a lot of youth have mentioned that they're seeing their peers just operate more in unhealthy activities because they are so bored. And so we believe with this new virtual digital media program that we're launching, that it can give these youth something engaging to do throughout the day, dealing with music and arts. So that's an emerging priority. It will launch the beginning of May. Hopefully, when some things come back to normal, we can still have some in-person programming with a limited amount of youth at a time. And so we have that in the plans. One thing that is unknown for us currently is large gatherings. And so large gatherings. So I mentioned the youth marketplace, but we was also planning Kid Entrepreneur Festival on a larger scale. And so that is unknown to us right now, depending on the status of the COVID-19 situation. Um, and so it kind of hurt us to the core because we reached out to youth entrepreneurs from different states who are thriving. It was this one youth business that was on Short Tank, the lemonade business. The name slipped from my mind, but she has a lemonade business and she is literally making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars from selling lemonade. And her product has been picked up in markets and more. So we had talked to her family about getting her to be the guest speaker for the festival. And so that is unknown for us right now on the time stamp for that. I know with large gatherings, especially what we do with festivals and entertainment events and programming, they're talking about mid 2021 for a lot of large gatherings with 1,000+ people, realistically, to be in a gathering together. And so just one of those things that are up in the air for us. But nevertheless, we've been pivoting and strategizing. So we have our virtual platform launching the 1st of May.
Awesome.
And we are glad to finally have that. So
That's great. Terrence, what are you thinking about your summer camps?
So we can offer that virtually as well. The summer camp that we always do is the art of artist development. And so this kids wanting to learn how to be rappers, singers, and more. And so we actually have that program virtually. So that's part of the virtual portal. And so if we are unable to hold classes in person, then we just gonna channel them, streamline them to the virtual site.
Okay, so you haven't made that call yet if they will be virtual, but if you have to, you're able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The thought of 2020, mid 2021 for a big gathering is depressing. Thank you so much for sharing. That's great. Could you send me, so we can send it out to everyone, kind of how kids can sign up for the programming beginning in May?
Sure.
Awesome. Okay. Nancy, Michon, or Colin, do one of y'all want to go next?
Nancy, do you want to?
Sure, this is Nancy. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. That's what I was saying.
Okay. Okay. So we are closed to providing actual services, but what we have been doing is really working to stay connected to our really 3 constituent groups. We have obviously our children with challenges, since we changed our mission from being children with disabilities to children with challenges, and certainly didn't expect it to basically be all children at this point, given where we are with the virus. So that's one group, but our volunteers are also another group, our parents and our donors. So, and supporters. So what we've been doing for our children and their parents is really pushing out resources. As you all know, if it's difficult for neurotypical kids to adjust, for many of our children, this is extraordinarily difficult. So we have been researching and connecting with pretty well vetted resources for parents on the most common challenges our children have, number 1 being on the autism spectrum disorder, 2 cerebral palsy, and 3 developmental delays. And we have been connecting with the children themselves by doing FaceTime with them and their horses, and having conversations, and so we set appointments for that. We also have been doing bedtime stories. That's all on our Facebook page. Obviously, that's free to anybody. And honestly, it's hysterical because as we read the stories, the horses are surrounding us and looking at the pictures and looking at the book. It's a lot of fun. We have been working on training videos for volunteers and sending out other things to volunteers. Our volunteers have been writing notes to the children from their horses, and those are going out in the mail. We're also pushing out a couple of newsletters as well. So that's a little bit about what we've been doing. The other thing that we have been doing is reaching out to other nonprofit organizations and foundations in planning to do in real person when we can some activities for nonprofit leaders on equine assisted learning, and it does two things. One is it helps people very much the way you were working on today to put themselves first so that they have some margin to be able to deal with ramp up, and then also exposes them to a whole facet that they may not be aware that Halter has introduced, which is equine assisted learning. So that's in the planning stages now. And we have been working on research projects. We have a very active research partnership with the University of Kentucky, and are working, we've gotten institutional review board approval for several studies, including one working with some children that I'll ask Colin to talk about. And then also we were awarded a very nice grant in conjunction with My Brother's Keeper. And so that is going to be, we can add that to our research piece. And when we can do that, we're going to execute that as well. And so Antoine, I'm going to ask him to chat a little bit about that.
Colin, do you want to share about the research she was talking about?
Sure. Thanks, Nancy and Megan. Something that we have been really wanting to do this semester was that we wanted to focus on students primarily from the EP Todd school in District 7, primarily with the middle school age group, and focusing on children with adverse childhood experiences or having higher ACEs. And also being able to coordinate that with resilience kind of training, being able to work with equine assisted learning, also trying to learn about would these directly affect outcomes such as not only attendance, but decrease maladaptive behaviors or negative behaviors, also looking at academics, but also very specifically social emotional learning, and being able to roll out some qualitative and quantitative data that really could be used for this research study. As Nancy talked about, the internal review board, University of Kentucky had laid out already some parameters and some things for us to start that. And we actually had funding. So there was, lack of better words, there was escrow, I guess, funds from the McCady-Vento program from the state. And so we were awarded several $1,000s to be able to do that. And so there were funds available if we were still in school that we would have rolled out that program this semester. But that's kind of been put on hold. But also now kind of thinking with other collaborations, possibly maybe some nonprofit and some grants. The next step is to really to be able to kind of build this program between now and also into like September, October, that we can really kind of start this kind of a better program with a lot of the foundation kind of already set. So this has kind of been even though we've kind of had to stop things, put things on pause, it's given us a little bit of chance to be able to kind of rethink, and then also to kind of look at how we want to kind of move forward. But then also we want to make sure that this is part of the OST Collaborative, that we really are kind of meeting a lot of those expectations. So we have done some things kind of behind the scenes to make sure that we have policies and right access to trainings, and ensuring like logistical things such as like transportation and snacks and some of those things. So we really having to kind of step back a little bit because of COVID, but this has given us a little bit a better opportunity to kind of put some things into motion before we kind of actually roll this thing out.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. Can you tell us a little bit about the homeless students and kind of how this is impacting them directly, or what you're seeing from families?
And I won't take too much time. I'll just try to keep it under 30 seconds. I'll do my best.
We are going to go till 12:40, so we just decided we got 10 more minutes.
Okay. Well, I'll keep it brief. The bottom line is District 7 has about 365 students now living in homelessness. In the last 4 weeks, that's been an increase of about 50 to 60 students, I think directly as an impact because of COVID. And my largest concern right now are not the ones that are in doubled up situations, even though that's still a concern because now people are living together and spending a lot more time together. So there could be a lot more anxieties and stress. My main focus is really about those living in hotels. There's a main concern about, even though you have a stay on evictions, the moratorium that was done by our Supreme Court judge, and also for foreclosures, that's been a stay on those. It also does not really include families that are in hotels. Even though there is an accommodation tax after you stay there for 90 days, managers are now going around basically threatening all their tenants really on a daily basis. And so they're not allowing really families to pay at a weekly rate. They're now expecting more on a daily rate. And now it's becoming a huge, huge burden and more anxieties. So now we're seeing a huge influx. So I have about 40 or 50 families right now that I'm really, really concerned about because they are at risk of being kicked out. So trying to partner with United Way, looking at some legal advocacy, Schoolhouse Connections, and National Lobbying Group, looking at county, city, and maybe Megan, need to get you on board with Mitch Kennedy. But we've talked about these issues of the potential of these families being evicted. So we know that they're going to probably be more at risk of infections and also for transmission of communicable diseases. COVID is extremely contagious. We're also looking at the threat and the fear that DSS might come in and have to take, these kids into foster care. So now we are increasing possibly, the strength systems already in our other systems. So even though it's a small population, I'd say 450, it still is a major, major fear that we're having with our families. And it's a concern, major concern that I have right now. So United Way has been doing a great kind of work, this kind of stopgap right now until we can get the ESG funds, which is basically a federal funds, but only very few agencies are allowed to be able to access those funds. And the stimulus, how fast things move with the stimulus package, those federal funds can't come soon enough. So now we have a lot of legal limbos, financial limbos. We have a lot of issues that are going on with these kids. And so basically my main focus right now is contacting these families, trying to link them as fast as possible, and to be able to at least kind of stabilize. But you can only imagine.
Oh, yeah. Do the hotels, like when everything is e-learning now, do the hotels have Wi-Fi? If
they do.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the students that I'm not concerned about having access to meals. We're doing mobile meals. They have access to Wi-Fi. It might be limited, but at least there is that. But again, and I'm not discounting, the education, but I am saying that is a secondary, tertiary, issue when you're thinking about loss of a place to stay. And so, but yeah, so if they can, if they're able to stay in the hotels, then yes, most of the hotels do have Wi-Fi.
And schools are delivering the meals there?
They are. So there's a coordinated effort with all districts. So if we have families in District 6, District 2, 3, is that those districts are picking up those students. And we're doing the same thing in District 7. So if they have students living in our district, then we're ensuring that they have access. One thing great about District 7 is that they're providing meals on a 5-day basis, where other districts are doing it only on 3 days, 2 or 3 days. So having those eyes, also schools are allowing, for pickup if they're close enough for meals. So I'm very, very proud of District 7. That there's a very coordinated effort. And also I will just say is that District 7 has, because of the city, we have the majority of families also living, in hotels as well. So, but again, some of the families, if they're fortunate enough, been able to get out of the hotels, go live with family, that's a good thing, but they're now being scattered all over the Upstate and also in Columbia. Some families are having to leave. So they can still access e-learning, but they're fleeing. The ones that, might have families they can actually go, or at least have transportation to get to. So it's a very, very multi-layered situations that we're seeing right now. But I will say, thank God for United Way, the Haven, and also Spin, and other agencies that have really been helping. I will say our food banks are needing a lot of support right now. There is a major crisis with our food banks. And so that's an area where I know that people have asked, what can they do? And I'm like, food. Giving it to those banks is probably going to be the most critical thing we're needing right now. And then also people are able to give to the right agencies like United Way, and then also with Spin and the Haven. That has also been really imperative right now, especially until these ESG funds can get on board.
Wow. It's so overwhelming to think about. Wow. Okay. We're going to be.
And I apologize for taking more time.
No, don't.
But it's just a lot. There's just so much going on.
Yeah.
But I will say that at least, there's a hope, and staying very hopeful and understanding that when we're able to really identify the families, we're able to link them very quickly with an agency and make that happen. So that has been a blessing. And also, I think that what's important is that we're able to, there is with the Sharpen app as well, with the Family Sharpen, they have been extremely helpful, a lot of resources with like mindfulness practices, being able to actually use those resources, link them pretty quickly if families are able to use apps and kind of utilize that. So that has been really, really helpful. To be able to link families if they're open. Telehealth has also been a really big thing. Medicaid has opened up teletherapy. So you're able to use teletherapy services. We've had a couple of deaths recently. And so working on bereavement and things like this
Deaths
with students and the families. What's that?
Deaths related to this?
No, it's unknown, but we did have a middle school student that did die. It was not related to COVID, but being able to link them very quickly with services and supports. So again, we're still, working through a lot of issues when it comes to just adversities.
Wow. Okay. All right. Michonne, are you still there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
4 minutes left. And then if I want Antoine to be able to try to share about their partnership with Halter, but very curious to hear what y'all are doing at Girl Scouts.
I'll try to make it very quick. We started Girl Scouts Connected, which is our virtual program series. This is probably our 5th week. It actually, we do virtual videos during the day and during the evening. During the day it's on Zoom, and during the evening is on Facebook. It's open to all girls, not just Girl Scouts. All you have to do is, get the link and sign on. Every day we do a different level. So like Mondays is for kindergarten and first grade and so on. And we go all the way through adults. I have enjoyed it. I have to be thankful, I guess grateful that we're still able to reach out in that way. A couple of weeks I did we work on badges during the day. So like I did the brownie home scientist badge, and we made ice cream. We did geysers outside, and it was so much fun. I had 188 girls on my Zoom video, so it was awesome. As far as personally, I serve 3 troops in the Greenville area. I have been providing my parents since the beginning of this with online resources. Every new one that comes my way, I provide for them, and homework help personally myself, just because some of my girls are in the guardianship of their grandparents, and it's really hard for them to help with homework. So I've been trying to be on call every day. I talk to my families every week. I'm starting virtual meetings this week with just my troops specifically, because I serve low-income families, and my 3rd troop is a homeless troop for homeless girls. And the churches have been really grateful with helping with them and still providing housing and food. So we're grateful for that. I guess that's kind of it. The biggest sad point was summer camp has been canceled.
Yeah.
That's one of our biggest, adventures that we look forward to. So a lot of girls had signed up, and it's been canceled. We are now trying to come up with ways that we're going to find alternate programming during the summer, and things we can do during the summer. So we will see. It's fun going on Pinterest looking for new and exciting things I can do. And right now, my current thing is trying to help the girls that don't even have the supplies they need to do the videos and do the activities we're doing. They don't have those. And so I am working on getting the funding for activity boxes that I can send to their home, so that they'll be able to get on the video and actually have what they need to do it with us.
And you're mountains to Midlands also, right?
Yes, and my troops are funded through a grant, Greenville Women Giving. And so currently this week, I'm also working on writing a report to try to get an extension, because of summer camp being canceled, a lot of the money is not going to be spent. So
Right.
I have to write a report to ask for extensions.
Wow. Okay. So does that mean Camp Mary Elizabeth won't do their summer swim lessons and stuff like that as well?
Right. All of that has been canceled.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the really sad point for me. That was kind of my breakdown moment. I had been hanging in there.
Yeah.
But we're going to work it out. You always got to be innovative, and you always, it's like you said, shift happens, and you got to adapt and move on. And these kids are still out there, and they still need this programming. So you got to do what you got to do to get it to them.
Right. Antoine, real quick, have y'all made a call about your empowerment camp that you do in the summer?
We're preparing for it to kind of be virtually, if need be. But we're preparing. We're prepared either way. But I'm leaning towards making sure we have a plan, contingency plan to make things virtually to get the same impact. So I'm working on how to get packages and things out to be able to still do that. And just very quickly, Terrence, if you can still hear me, give me a call today. I sent you a message. Not sure if you got it, but call me. But regarding our partnership with Halter, it's pretty much going to take a therapeutic approach. Also, we're going to be looking to get some ride experiences in place, but also connection and working on some trauma and various different methods that we're going to be utilizing through the equine field and resources with Nancy and her staff and the folks out there at Halter, and getting young people acquired to equine field and realizing how much similarities we have when we're able to talk about, leadership development and, dealing with, adverse issues or adverse experiences or traumatic experiences they've experienced. And, therapeutic options being provided through the arena and Halter that, I tell anyone, any adult, any organization, like, connect with Halter and take your staff out there, take your leadership team out there, because there is so much that you can learn and gather once you get into their space and, the job that they're in, the expertise of their team. It's phenomenal. So our young people are excited. Our young people are excited, and we're excited and looking forward to that and much, much more we look to do with Halter. I give it back to you, Megan.
Awesome. I'm glad that this collaborative existed before all of this, so that the relationships were already there to be able to build on and figure things out. If we were just starting now, we would all, I think, be in a different position. But hearing y'all and your relationships and the way that you guys work together just warms my heart. All right, we're going to return to the main session here and close things up. But thank you all so much for sharing. And we're going to kind of facilitate a little share out time right here. So, all right, here we go. It's going to kick us out.
Okay.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for your patience. Our group ran a little over. I think Savannah's group did as well. Appreciate all of you guys sharing. I know we're kind of running close on time here, but did you guys find that tool helpful? Are you guys already internally asking those kind of questions with your staff or volunteers or board members? Just give me a thumbs up or a shake. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I know in our group, we got to box 1. So what are we currently doing? But I'm hoping that you all can use the tool with your teams to think about some of the other questions, or if you just need help, like putting things in a category, something like that is very helpful for me. But it was really helpful to hear what everyone is doing. So thank you for your participation. Sorry, Megan.
No, that's great. Ron and Savannah, did you get a pulse on summer camps and if they're happening or not?
We did.
We not. Go ahead, Ron.
No, go ahead, Savannah.
I was about to say, we didn't specifically talk about summer camps. We just talked about programming that's occurring right now. And so we have a lot of great things that partners are doing using virtual platforms, but also thinking about needs. A lot of our partners talked about food and supporting not only the students, but I know Fab, Forward and Beyond, Brandon, we talked about some of their youth and supporting their whole. So we didn't get to the summer part, but pretty much everyone talked about how they are still providing programming or doing something in some capacity.
Yeah, we talked about summer specifically, and as much to say that there's a lot in that unknown box right now with respect to summer, but a way to feel empowered around that is to develop some contingency plans or scenarios or what ifs we had a couple of different examples of like what happens if summers come back, if we get back to what is essentially regular programming. What if we have to do something where we're limited in terms of the number of young people who can physically gather? Or what if we have an entirely virtual platform? And planning for those various scenarios or contingencies felt like it was a way to feel like there's at least something you can do while we're in this limbo state. And people were talking about having kind of plan A, plan B, plan C, and then being ready to go, because what is likely to happen is we're not going to have a whole lot of advanced warning when some of these changes get made to be able to act. And it felt like more energy and momentum is being put toward virtual options right now, that include not just all the online stuff, but also like some of the paper-based kits and things like that that can accompany food boxes and other kinds of programming that are more distance type of programming than online or virtual. But I feel like our team, and Deb probably gave voice to this as much as anyone else. I think there's still a lot of grief over what we're having to honor and let go of right now, and a commitment to having physical space that's safe and open for young people to gather. That's such a part of our DNA, you know, as providers, that, you know, virtual options are just that. They're virtual. They're not quite the real thing. And it's okay. It's okay to grieve that and to say that we're not going to be able to do that right now.
Right, and that goes back to what Kara said. I could feel that, the pain in Michonne's voice when she told us that the Girl Scouts have gone ahead and canceled their summer camps. And, you know, I love how it says honor and let go, not just let go, but having that space and celebrating what could have been and hopefully what will be again sometime is important. Ron, since you're already talking and we're getting to the end here, you want to move us on into the next kind of question here, and I'll go back to sharing my
I don't know. It
screen.
looked like Brandon was trying to say something.
Oh.
Yeah, I just wanted to say really quickly, like I appreciate everybody on the call and what they're saying. And just to what Ron was saying, the whole honor and let go. I don't want us to get stuck on that, because I just feel like even with the people that are on the call right now, the creativeness and the minds, like, you know, Antoine just showed you in the beginning, just, you know, the inventions of the mind as it relates to how we can connect right now. Like, we are so gifted, we are so talented, and we are called to be doing what we're doing. So this is an amazing opportunity and time to be excited about what new things that will come out of this, what we can do to not only boost our own morale, but boost the morale of those that work with us, work for us, and the ones that we ultimately serve in and of ourselves. So this is like, we're on the cusp of something amazing, something that's never been done before, because we're involved and we're experiencing something that's never happened before. And so I just know for a fact that every single one of us is going to step up to the plate and make sure that whatever way we have to do it, we're going to do it in such a way that not only will people feel the impact, but we'll be excited about something new that we possibly started that other people may be able to glean from and take notes from and take cues from and actually use to help better serve the people that they're in front of as well.
Thank you, Brandon. I always appreciate your positive perspective.
Yeah, thank you. That was great, and it's kind of a wonderful segue into, you know, the wrap up. And what we're trying to do with sessions like this is just make sure that, you know, uplifting and inspiring, but also that they give you some tools and something concrete that you can actually take action on. And, you know, while we off kind of a series of professional development and leadership opportunities around social, emotional, and academic development, you know, we created this action plan with an idea that for each of these sessions, you would have an opportunity to reflect and jot down some things that constitute action commitments or things that you would want to take back and do. And I think in the spirit of this conversation, there's so much that you are doing to innovate and to improvise right now. And it would be a shame if all of that improvisation and innovation happened without a lot of other people knowing about it. And so our thought was, you know, maybe as a follow-up to this conversation and before we have our next meeting, jot down some things that you are planning to do or that you're already doing that you would want to share with some of your colleagues in terms of action commitments that you've made as a result of these last couple sessions that we participated in, and then use this as a starting point for a planning tool that we can then lift up some of those stories and those examples, because I do think this is one of those moments where, you know, there's a potential for a huge learning loss to happen for young people right now. And you are literally standing in the gap between what could be a catastrophic setback for young people or a season where they continue to learn and continue to connect with each other and with their community. And so it would be a shame if we didn't document all of that great work and take a step back and reflect on it, particularly as this morphs from, you know, the first 2 weeks, first 6 weeks, you know, the first few months of dealing with this. We're going to be looking for those kinds of examples of ways that folks are coming together and learning from and with each other. So hopefully this tool is helpful, and it gives you an opportunity just to reflect on what we've talked about, what you've learned, and hopefully gives you a sense of some things that you can do now, and then also things that you can do when you resume programming and connecting with others on your team.
Thanks, Ron. All right, we have just a few announcements, and then we will kind of let everybody go on to the rest of their day. I love what Kara just said in the chat, that sitting on this call has given her hope. We can transform the grief into hope. Love that. Savannah, or even Polly, do you want to give the speed networking update?
Sure. So as you all know, we couldn't meet in person for speed networking. You should have received an email. We're going to be putting together a video series. So we had about 125 people who are not partners, but were folks that wanted to know about our resources on the website. And so we're going to be reaching out to those folks with a video series. The videos are going to be very focused on what are the resources that are available and how do you access those resources during COVID, which seems to be the priority right now and the focus. It's kind of hard for us to talk about summer. We really just don't know what it's going to look like yet. So you should have gotten an email from Haley about putting those videos together. We would love to do a Spark video, which is all of the work the Out of School Time Collaborative is doing. So what is available to young people in our Spark bucket, and how do they access those resources? And so those will be on social media as well through paid ad campaigns, and then sent to the network that was supposed to attend. So if when you get the email from Haley, if you haven't gotten it yet, it'll have a type form. And on that type form, it's just going to ask very basic questions around, you know, what resources are still available during the pandemic. You know, what would you like for us to promote, and just giving some basic, simple bullets for her to put those videos together. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Thanks, Polly.
Polly, when did those videos need to be finished by?
You know, the type form will probably go out today if you haven't gotten it yet already. And we'd love for them to be done by Wednesday, the type form. We no longer going to be asking folks to make their own videos or video themselves. We got a lot of pushback on that. Who are like, I don't want to make a video. So Haley has some pretty high-tech software to make our own videos with. And so she's just going to ask, to make it simpler, she's going to ask folks to complete the type form and get them back by Wednesday. It's just really is, our young people are saying they just don't know how to navigate resources right now. So the focus is more around, you know, how do they navigate what's available to them right now.
That's great. I like the idea of not having to do a video. That was intimidating me also. one quick thing that we wanted to share that actually it was Nico's idea when we had a call with the other partners that were a part of this How Learning Happens grant was, we've said it a couple times now that all time is out of school time, would there be a value for us as a collaborative to try to write an op-ed, something for the newspaper, kind of talking about what we know about social emotional learning, pointing to these resources that Connect is putting together. We thought it would be a good way to kind of get our voice out there. You know, we're talking a lot about schools and a lot about teachers, and they're doing an incredible job, but we also play an important role in this space also. So we had thought about doing that and kind of signing it as the collaborative and saying, you know, we're a group that already has these kind of standards and what our goals are and why it's still important to be pursuing that in this time. If anyone would like object to that, maybe reach out to me or Savannah, and we would certainly send it to you guys in advance. But that's just something we're kind of mulling through as a way that we can, I don't know, do something as well.
Yeah. And I would just shout out How Learning Happens, Americans Promise Alliance, for really helping us think about how we can move forward and giving us that idea of the op-ed. So just trying to figure out how to keep our value at the forefront and what we believe is important in this time and even beyond when we move beyond these circumstances. So the other thing that we wanted to share, and I know we're at 1 o'clock, but just a reminder, if you've not sent in a partnership agreement, we would love to have your partnership agreements. Many of you have been along with us on this journey and we appreciate your support, but we would love to just have something that says, hey, I want to be a continuing partner with the Out of School Time Collaborative, and we can continue to attach that to follow-up emails. So we're still collecting those. Summer Shakedown training updates. Again, we have been reimagining what that training looks like, and we're working with the Child Protection Training Center to provide a virtual opportunity. So we do believe that those are still going to occur, and we're working out those details right now. What we need to know, and we've heard from some of you, is if you would be attending some type of 101 training or 102 training related to being trauma informed. And so, of course, this is in preparation for summer, but this is something that you could take at any time. So it's still definitely a priority, and we would love to know how many we would be expecting to participate in something like this that would occur in May or after. And then finally, we've had like one Summer Shakedown website submission. We recognize that, again, there's still some uncertainty about what will happen in the summer if we'll be doing something in person. But if you would still like to share what you originally intended, we would still like to see those things in the case that we need to be prepared to shoot that out. It goes to what Ron said earlier. If we can have an ABC plan, part of that plan includes us already having that information so that we can have it on the website and accessible to those who want to participate in what you may be offering. So those are our announcements.
Yeah, even if you're doing virtual summer opportunities, we want to know that to be able to have that on there. And, you know, we have the funding to help students access those opportunities. And again, the whatever trauma-informed training we do, there'll be no cost for that as well. We have that covered through the grant too.
Sure. And I see in the chat box, yes, we will resend the Out of School Time agreement, and yes, we will resend the Summer Shakedown camp information.
Yep. And we're here. We love y'all. If there's anything that we can do or any sort of help platform thing you need to buy, I mean, anything, please let us know and we'll try to help make it happen.
Megan, can I ask Nico a question? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
So I've sat in on a few national calls now with New York being on the line for the grant, and they are really outside the box. I mean, really outside the box on some very creative, innovative ideas. Are you hearing anything at the national level around summertime opportunities coming out of New York or some of the bigger cities that are really struggling right now?
Yeah, I have to say that a lot of our engagement as America's Promise on that front has been connecting with the big cities around their summer youth employment programs. So, we work with a group in Staten Island, and the announcement that they were canceling the summer youth employment program for New York City, it's like 75,000 kids won't have jobs in that announcement. That kind of sent shockwaves. We are connecting with them next week, and I can ask what they're doing. And I know we've also been talking to Philadelphia too on that summer employment angle, but I don't have immediately off the top of my head, summer learning best practices that I'm seeing from big cities. I wonder if Ron is possibly, because I know he connects with a lot of folks too.
Yeah, one of the things the Campaign for Grade Level Reading is doing is going to be pulling together some folks to talk specifically about this learning loss issue at scale and what we can learn from.
Uh-oh, did he freeze?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite the cliffhanger.
There, the After School Alliance. Can you see, am I back?
You're back. You started with Campaign for Grade Level Reading and then we lost you.
Oh, well, there are a number of groups assembling right now to talk through this, but I don't think anyone has got a great answer for what learning loss, what it looked like previously over a 3-month period, what that's likely to look like when you convert that to 6 or 7 months. And when you layer into that the fact that kids who are starting kindergarten without having a full year of Head Start or pre-K, the reverberating effects of that on school readiness is another big concern. At the other end of the youth, if we got everything from early ed to youth employment and everything in between, it's a huge issue. And I agree with you, Polly. I mean, there are a lot of people thinking very creatively about it, and we've got to harness the best of what we're learning in terms of makeshift infrastructure and systems right now, because it's just not there.
Yeah. Thanks, Ron. Well, we'll keep asking that question and send, resources, ideas, whatever we're hearing, and you guys do the same. And we'll follow up with those 2 other things and have another one of these calls in May, and we'll be in touch about that. But we love you all. Go eat your lunch. I'm hungry. Stay well, stay inside.
And look for a follow-up from us soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.